All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mid-South Wrestling Center podcast. I know I've been away for the past 2 or 3 weeks, but today we have a very special guest featuring Cordale Roberts. Um, Cordale's been in business a very long time, quite a bit. His family is a generational wrestling family, so let's bring him on. Cordale,
What's up?
how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How you?
Still around. Like I said, like I was telling the people, I've been off for the past couple of weeks due to work schedule and other things. But how have you been? What have you been up to?
Been pretty good. Just trying to stay busy.
Oh yeah, I understand that completely. So I guess the first we can go ahead and start getting into these topics. I guess the first topic is I was telling the people, you are kind of a generational wrestler. I guess you can say.
Third generation.
Uh, yep. Um, so I guess the answer is pretty simple on this next one. But what piqued your interest? What got you into professional wrestling?
Man, it's just something I've always done. Always want to do ever since I was a little baby, as far as I can remember.
Okay, all righty then. Yeah, it's just a lot of people, even some generational wrestlers, I kind of notice it, especially with like uh Braun Breaker and all that kind of stuff. He's a generational wrestler also, but a lot of people were you ever a football player?
I played off and on during school, but that's about it. Not
Yeah, yeah. I know
once
it's
I
kind of
hit
like
high
him
school,
and
my full time was trying to get into wrestling. That's all I was
yeah,
working.
I know like him and Roman Reigns and all that. They kind of like they had their little bit of stint in football for a while, but then they just kind of was like, hey, rather do professional wrestling than football.
I was always more of a baseball and wrestling.
Gotcha. Which of course, you and your brother, your guys' size and height and stuff like that, you guys would probably be pretty dominant on the football field too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but I've never cared.
Yeah,
And my dreams is either be a professional baseball player or a professional wrestler.
yeah. Uh, next topic I guess we can get into is who exactly were you trained by your dad or were you kind of just all over the place with trainers?
I was fully trained by Sarge O'Reilly and Anton LaVey.
Okay,
Daddy really didn't have much to do with training.
gotcha, gotcha. It kind of seems like now more specifically instead of the past that a lot of we're like we did I did episode with Poker Face and all that kind of stuff and he doesn't seem like he really wants a hand in really training anymore either. Of course, at the same time, Poker Face only works like once or twice a year.
Mhm.
But I think Rude is still training, kind of doing some training stuff at TIWF.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I know Daddy, he didn't want nothing to do with mine or Aaron's training because he didn't think we listened to him.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, Cordell Roberts has not always been your name. It's your original name was JP Fantastic.
Well, when I first broke in, my name was just Cordell.
Cordell.
Then
Okay.
we left from New Bern, where I was trained, and we went up to Union City, where Greg was running NWA Mid South. And then he told me I needed to change my name, so we came up with JP Fantastic.
Oh, okay. I see. I didn't know that about that.
Yeah,
And so Greg was just like, "Hey, you got to change your name, I guess."
he's just wanted something different besides my real name.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, so kind of tell us how it is being a third generation wrestler. Like, tell us about the Robertson family in general.
Well, you see, you got my granddaddy. He wrestled for a short time. Nobody really remembers him. Then you got Rocker's daddy. That's who everybody compares us to.
Okay.
Then of course you got Rocker, and you got my father, Big Red, which around here, everybody wants us to follow in their footsteps and be like them
Yeah,
instead of trying to break away like me and Aaron's trying to do.
gotcha. Yeah. I completely understand that. The whole breaking away thing, trying to go out there, make a name for yourself, stuff like that. Um, so is I never got this right. Is Chris Rocker and your daddy related?
Yeah, they're cousins.
Cousins. Okay. Yeah, I
Well,
didn't know how close or how close that blood relation is.
yeah, they're cousins, but they're like I said, they're more like brothers with each other.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, while you're in I guess the next topic we can get into is you're currently a singles wrestler, but
Yeah,
for a long time, yeah, for a long time you were a tag team wrestler with your brother. The Boom Squad was a big thing across the Mid South. Tell us how y'all come. Of course, I know kind of now how y'all come together, but tell them what brother. You know, how'd y'all get together? It's like, hey, let's tag together.
yeah. If I remember right, it was one of them things where we was up in Union City and SARS didn't have nothing really for us going on, and we just kind of pitched the idea, and it wasn't supposed to be but like a month long angle, but it took off.
Yeah, gotcha. And how'd you guys come up with the name Boom Squad?
Well, at the time, Aaron was going by Gage, and he was coming out to "Here Comes the Boom," and the whole crowd was calling him King of Boom. So it just
Just kind
kind
of
of all fit in.
originated from there, huh? And then, uh, which I'm supposed to have a co-host for this. I'm pretty sure you know him. I'm pretty sure everybody knows him. Blaze
Oh,
Ray is supposed to be my co-host. I think he ain't co-hosted one freaking podcast episode
I
with
ain't
me
seen
yet.
him.
Yeah,
Watch just
yeah,
about every one of them. I ain't seen him.
yeah. We did an episode with him, but never like co-hosted with him. But which I kind of understand. He's busy, stuff like that. He's got his own personal life stuff going on right now. But you, Brandon Ray, and Blaze Ray formed the Doom Squad for a little bit in NWA Mid South.
Yep.
Tell us kind of how it felt, kind of doing that. Coming off Boom Squad, now you're Doom Squad.
It was good. I enjoyed it. We really got to show our dominance, which I always applaud Greg for the way he always done the bigger guys.
Yeah.
He's always made you out to be dominant. And then doing the Doom Squad, that gave me the opportunity to go to Ripley Mania and work Tommy Dreamer. Not too many people get to do that.
Oh yeah. That was actually the next topic that I was going to get into. Like how did that feel? Like maybe you're sitting in the locker room at Ripley Mania, you're getting ready. Like what are you feeling in that moment?
At the moment, nervous.
Hmm.
I mean, he was just Tommy Dreamer, and then,
Yeah.
but it, like I said, I loved it. He uh, he was a great guy. Didn't have no issues with him. And to me, when Greg told me that I was working him, it made me feel like somebody actually had confidence in me.
Yeah. Yeah. There was our current, you were I think you were the current Legends Alliance champion then, whenever you faced him. And then here recently, I think late last year, our current Legends Alliance champion, Rob Danger, he actually faced Ricky Morton in Ripley. So, I'm
I
like
talked
like
to Bob about that. He really enjoyed it.
yeah. It's just a lot of guys, they have their opinions on Greg Anthony, but if Greg truly believes in you, then he'll give you the opportunities that
Oh yeah.
that you'll need. Um, so we mentioned the Tommy Dreamer match. So let's go ahead and go over some of your more throw out a couple, maybe some your most memorable matches or even moments in professional wrestling for you.
Mm, Obviously, my first match teaming up
Okay.
with my daddy against Eric Hayes and Rude, two great
Yeah,
guys. And for them to let me go over in that match was just couldn't ask for anything better.
gotcha. I think it was the I think you shared a picture of it here recently, didn't you?
I think I did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been talking to Poker Face and all that kind of stuff, and I was telling you before is I'm trying to get a round table thing together, and I'm probably going to try and get Root on here pretty soon, or just see if he'll be willing to do the round table thing, do a naughty by nature one.
Yeah, Rude's always been good to me. Ever since I first met him, he's always been good.
Yeah, I met him a few years back. You know, I started doing audio for Poker Face for Millington Mayhem. I cannot remember which one I'm on now. It's like my seventh, eighth, something like that. But yeah, the first time I met him, I was kind of like, oh, this is rude, you know, stuff like that. But he's a real nice guy. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about him.
And which, for me, it was always intimidating because I grew up watching him, being
Yeah,
around him all the time, and then him being one of the first ones and be willing to come up and do my first match.
yeah. So, how old were you whenever you had your first match, and what year was it?
I was 16 and it was 2012. So it'd be 13 years last week.
Okay. All right. I think that's kind of around the time I think Blaze got into it. I think he said he's been in it about 13 years, and
Yeah, it seems like
uh,
he got in a little bit after I did.
yeah, yeah. And then Brandon shortly followed after.
Right.
He kind of got into it. Um, so we talked about the JP Fantastic name. So now let's transition over to how of course Cordale is your name, your legal name. So you know how what made you go from JP Fantastic to Cordale Roberts?
I just felt like it was time for a change, that I wasn't JP Fantastic anymore. I wasn't the pretty boy who done his hair or went out there and worried about how he looked. I felt like it was time for me to go out there and be more vicious and show who I really was.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of really I don't know exactly who did it. I'm pretty sure you know who did it, but your logo. I really like your logo.
That was Mr. Alan Pounds. He's on Facebook. He don't charge. He charged me $30 for that logo, and that's because he had to draw my face.
Okay.
I mean, he's cheap. Does great
Yeah.
work. If anybody out there
Okay.
needs work done, hit him up.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. I had reached out to Greg and I was like, hey, you know, want to do a podcast. Can you recommend anybody for logo making? And he's got a guy, I don't know if he still wrestles or not, but he is Jake Haynes, or in the wrestling world is Jake Capone, but he's a guy from Illinois. And he didn't charge
Just
me
like I met
anything.
out there at Greg's show one time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of told him. I kind of messaged him. I was like, hey, I was like, I'm starting up a podcast. Greg recommended you. You know, can you come up with a logo for me? I kind of told him what I wanted. You know, the only thing I really wanted was I wanted lime green and orange. And I've ran Mid South Wrestling news and center and stuff like that since 2016.
All right.
It started out as a thing where I was just kind of trying to help other promotions like put over their flyers and stuff like that. But I was like, well, let's try to get this, you know, as a podcast. And um, I've always had lime green and orange, and the reason for that is lime green is actually my grandmother's cancer ribbon color,
All
and
right.
orange is my grandfather's because I lost my grandfather and grandmother both to cancer. And so I've always had wanted that significance in the logo, and
Right.
he come up with the perfect logo. I absolutely loved it whenever I first saw it.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and then I went on that. I don't know if you've heard of Fiverr. It's like where you can hire freelance people.
I don't guess I
Uh,
ever heard of it.
yeah, it's like people like make like intros or graphic design, and you can like they put on what price they want to charge, you pay it, and then they'll send you like whatever you request customized. And so
Right.
my intro, I actually paid like $5 for.
Hey.
Yeah. So I quite like it.
Oh,
But we were kind of talking about your brother earlier. WWE ID'd.
yep.
So he was, it went out kind of over the airways. A lot of wrestling based news report places, picked up the story, stuff like
Oh,
that. Aaron Roberts is the new WWE ID, and now WWE has recently announced Evolve. And it seems that's where a lot or most of the WWID program guys are going to go. So do you think he's going to end up on there anytime soon?
I believe he'll be on there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's too good not to be on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
ain't the most athletic one out of the whole group, but he's the most believable, and he's got the facial expressions that WWE wants.
Yeah. 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 I think he can get in there and do some damage. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you'll be seeing him out there.
Oh yeah. 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 And they're doing so freaking much with you know different people, because I think they just announced that LFG show or something like that.
Yeah,
Also, where they're bringing people in. What is it?
so I think the LFG airs tonight on
Yeah,
TV.
yeah. I keep seeing the one guy who it seemed like he kind of disrespected Bubba Ray a little bit, and Undertaker, like all you get is Undertaker calling him back, and it's like, well, you got to go see the actual episode to see what happened.
Yeah, I'm intrigued on what it'll be. They see what kind of psychology tips they give out on to the public.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Because especially with Taker, you know,
Hmm.
kind of, once his last WrestleMania match, he's like, I'm retiring the dead man. It's time to, because he kept kayfabe for all them years.
Oh yeah.
Like it was
Well,
rarity if he
yeah.
was, yeah, if he was on a interview or something like that, he didn't speak. He had Paul Bearer to do it, or if he I think there was only one interview he ever did where he was more in the American Badass thing, but he was still like the dead man thing.
Yeah.
Um, so how often do you go up to Memphis wrestling?
Don't.
You don't.
No, they fired me for doing a poker face show last year.
Really? Okay.
I ain't gonna say I ain't never gonna go back, but as of now, I'm not back there.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I asked is because I noticed you had went up there for the Jamie Noble thing.
Yeah, I only went up there strictly for that.
Gotcha.
It was a chance for Jamie Noble to see me, and if he liked me, he's be the one that could put in a good word.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think Jamie Noble is actually a writer
He's
for
one of
WWE
the
right now.
top producers.
Yeah, producer. Yeah, yeah. Yep, yep.
Which that was a good experience. I hated that nobody really from around our area besides like Dyersburg, Union City, Trenton didn't go up there besides me and Brian Tucker. I think that we're the only two from around Dyersburg area that went up there,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
it's kind of sad because you got all these eyes from the WWE ID prospects around here now, and then you got a chance to go up there and learn from one of the top producers, and nobody took the opportunity to go do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big thing nowadays. I don't know what it is. I don't know if we hit a certain year or something like that where new wrestlers, they don't want the criticism. They don't want to take it. They think. There's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of young guys in the business nowadays that just seem like they're God's gift to professional wrestling. They can't do no wrong. They're perfect in every single way. And trust me, there's not a perfect wrestler. Even guys, that's been in the business 20, 30, 40 years, still is learning something new.
Oh yeah. If you stop learning in this business, it's time to get out.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you got guys nowadays, like you said, they don't want the criticism. They want you to say you watched their match and their match was good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come to me and ask me if I watched your match and I thought it was crap, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We was at EPW last night. It was me, Aaron, Sean Legacy, and Cappuccino Jones. We was all sitting there together watching, and I forget the girl's name. She's on Memphis Wrestling. Throws out the candy and crap. She came up and asked us, and we told her the truth, and she actually listened and appreciated it. That's about the only one that I know of that'll come up.
Yeah. Yeah. As we Alan Steele. Alan was my last podcast episode, and we were kind of talking about Memphis wrestling. No, I don't. I don't have anything really bad to say about Memphis wrestling. Maybe early on, I heard some stuff, but like I said, rumors fly all across the professional wrestling world, like everything. Um, maybe I don't know, some comments that supposedly Dustin Starr had made whenever he first started.
Right.
But I'm they're doing their thing.
Yeah, they're doing good. They got Nick Nemeth on there today. He's up there.
Yeah, it's kind of like I kind of got to compare them a little bit to AEW, I guess you can say. It's like they get they got a guy that I guess funds their stuff. I don't know if that's 100% true or not. I've heard a rumor that supposedly they got a guy that just kind of like, hey, book whoever you want, and that's the only reason why they get all these guys on there. But it's kind of like AEW does. It's like AEW is run by Tony Khan, and it's just pretty much his dad gave him $1 million and go, hey, do whatever you want to, and spun the wheel, professional wrestling company, and you know,
But y'all say this about Memphis. If you get on Memphis and they actually do you right, you got a chance to get seen.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you get out there and like whoever's on the show today with Nick Nemeth, if he impresses them, that's a chance to get him to get you on TNA.
oh yeah. And then once you get to TNA, they now have a working relationship with WWE.
Yep.
You know,
The way it ended for me in Memphis, I'm not happy with it, but I ain't gonna tell nobody not to go up there.
yeah, I wouldn't either. Yeah, I like their stuff. I like the guys. I got some guys up there that's wrestling for them that I'm friends with. I'm kind of glad they're getting the exposure. Simon Reed is one of them. Always loved Simon. Always respected Simon since I met him in NWA Mid South.
And like I said, you got tons of guys up there who's willing to take time out of their day and talk to you about what's going on in your match, what you need to work on, what you need to improve. You just got to take the time out of your day and go ask them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw my post. We're gonna go over this for a couple minutes because it's just kind of like I tell people. Everybody starts somewhere. There's a lot of guys in the Mid South area right now that say, "Oh yeah, I started in a backyard trampoline, whether it actually be trampoline or an actual some guys will actually say, yeah, I actually had a wrestling ring in the backyard. Yeah, yeah. But I'm whenever I'm especially third shift at work, I scroll through YouTube, Facebook, just kind of try and study up on wrestling a little bit. Been in the business over 10 years, and I'm like you said, like we were talking about, always studying, always still learning stuff
Oh,
like that. And I come across a backyard wrestling company. Now, it's kind of like I said before. Everybody got to start it somewhere, but this their guys didn't seem like they knew a wrist lock from a wristwatch. They just
Most guys on regular shows these days.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just they're and they've been doing it for about a year. They because they're at least their YouTube channel is about a year old, and it's like their ring was originally made of what looked to be like old driftwood and plywood. And it's like they were using, I talked to JPR about this, but they were using kids that looked like 10 years or younger
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like there's a point where it's like now they're trying to get their guys booked on actual shows, but their guys were never trained and stuff
Right.
like that. And I know Middleton has booked them, has hosted one of their events or one of their matches, and now Trenton is actually booking some of their guys as well.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
If you want to
Or,
do backyard wrestling, that's fine. But if you want to go
yeah,
get on an actual show, take the time, go get trained,
yeah,
pay your
yeah.
dues, and get on the show.
The only reason why I kind of researched them a little bit is because the guy, he's not even the owner. He's the guy that holds the video camera and then he commentates while holding the video camera.
Right.
They're doing it in woods out in the middle of nowhere. And it's just he actually reached out to Pro Wrestling Mid South wanting to get his boys booked.
Right.
And Greg Anthony being the realist that he is, he got on there and was like, unless you're coming to me wanting to pay to get trained, don't ever message us again.
Right. That's
Because
the way it should be.
yeah, they sent in a training match, like, and it was filmed. It looked like it was filmed on a 1950s camera. No lights outside, completely dark, can't see the damn wrestlers, middle of nowhere, woods all the way around. Their ring posts are now metal, but since their wood frame, they have a wood frame. And so they have to attach ratchet straps to the top of the post and to the ground to make sure they stay up.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
yeah. Like I said, everybody starts somewhere, but yeah, if you're not, like you said, if you're not willing to put in the time and actually reach out to an actual wrestling company who's, at least been has a legible trainer running their
Yeah.
training, is just don't try to reach out and just try to get booked. Just do the training.
And please, if you want to try getting trained, don't go to somebody who's been in the business a year, 2 years, and get trained.
Yes, yes. Find a legible trainer who's been doing professional wrestling. I'd say at least between 8 to 10 years, at least.
At least.
Yeah,
I'll say this: if you want to get trained, go to Greg Anthony. Message the Union City page. They've got several guys up there doing training. I go up there when I can and do training with them. Get trained by somebody who's going to actually teach you.
oh yeah. We kind of have a actually Pro Wrestling Mid South kind of has a little bit of a working arrangement with Union City Wrestling. Uh,
Yeah,
believe you guys. What is it?
so we got some stuff in the works.
We got some stuff in the works. Yeah, yeah. It's can't say nothing about now, but probably you never know. Could see some UCW guys on Pro Wrestling Mid South. Possibly could see some Pro Wrestling Mid South guys on UCW stuff.
That's the way more companies around here should be.
Yeah.
Work with the other companies. It ain't like we're all 5 minutes away from each other now, like it used
Yeah.
to be. You got 30 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah. 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 I'm sooner or later. I'm gonna talk to I do the Ripley branch manager stuff now in Ripley, and heck, you never know. I may show up at UCW at a random time. Think about doing that.
Be happy to have you. I've been trying to talk John into coming up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he last week he was sick. He had something I can't remember. And then, like I said, this week, uh, he's in Washington D.C. with his daughter. So
Yeah, I've been trying to talk John Michael into coming up there every once in a while because Union City, we got a bunch of young guys,
yeah.
and he'll help everybody out tremendously up there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely. That's the one thing is I don't think people quite realize how John Michael he does a lot. He has done a lot. And he's had fingers he's had his fingerprints on a lot of stuff across the Mid South over the years.
And if you ever pay attention, if I'm at Pro Wrestling Mid South and John's there, whoever he's going over a match with, I'm right there with him.
Yeah.
Just to listen and learn.
Yeah. 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 I love it. He hasn't done it lately, and we need to get back into it because he did have his knee surgery and stuff like that. But he'd invite the boys over to his house. We'd watch. It's so weird. Don't if you ever get an invite to go watch a pay-per-view with him, and he starts talking about money or wanting to bet on it, don't bet with the man because he will win.
Oh
He
yeah.
he's almost he can sit there and watch an AEW pay-per-view and go, oh yeah. Yeah, I think this is how it goes, or who's going to go over and stuff like that, and then it happens exactly how he said it, and we're kind of like, wow, he amazes me sometimes.
Oh yeah. Like John, he's reach out to him, guys. Talk to him.
Yeah,
You're watching
he's a
this.
goofy guy. I
Oh
love
yeah.
him to death. Goofy guy, but he'll get serious with you real quick on wrestling.
If you want to learn anything about this business, John Michael's the one to talk to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was talking to somebody here recently about it, but it was the Greg Anthony and John Michael actually kind of grew up together. They went to school together, stuff like that. And I always like telling them the story that Greg tells and John kind of tells some also. I actually whenever John did his episode, I kind of made him tell the story from his perspective. So I've always heard it from Greg's. I never heard it from John's, but yeah, it was John and Greg were basketball players. And so there was one time where they had those bleachers that kind of go in on themselves. And so it's like real high up, and the ball was all the way at the top. And John Michael scaled the bleachers to get it. And of course, they were already professional wrestling fans at the time. And like Greg was like kind of looking up at him. And John, like, he threw the ball down, but he was like pretending like it was a crowd. He was on top of the world. And he looks down at Greg, and Greg kind of like was like, kind of knowing what John was thinking. He goes, do it. And John Michael just comes off with the most perfect freaking double axe handle to Greg off the top of the bleachers. And like they said, their basketball coach come over and goes, what the hell was that?
Right.
And just without a beat, John Michael goes, Macho Man double axe handle.
Yeah, I'm sure his basketball coach wasn't happy about that.
No.
Take a chance to break his ankles.
But that's just how in depth like you said, yeah, definitely reach out to John Michael. He's actually one of the few. He actually went to Canada and
Mm-hmm.
trained with the Harps. Now it wasn't the Dungeon, but it was. He trained with some of the
Right.
Hart family, and so he's one of the most brilliant minds in professional wrestling. I say.
Yeah.
Uh, not taking away from anybody else across the Mid South. Of course, reach out to Poker Face.
Mm-hmm.
I say reach out to Poker Face, but then he'll probably just leave you on red or something like that. But maybe rude or
Poker not just not like you. He always answers me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He I've always loved Poker Face since I met him. I met him literally whenever I first started in the professional wrestling business, and he was standoffish. I kind of called him out a little bit on it though on our podcast episode. He was a little bit standoffish, which he is whenever he first meets people. But once we kind of got to know each other and started working regularly with each other in Ripley, it was like we got that good relationship going, and it surprised the heck out of me because RCW Pro Wrestling had just went out of business. And like I was kind of traveling around. Coco Anderson had a show going. I was traveling around. I did audio for the show he did with TIWF. They kind of partnered, and it was like somewhere. It was like at a fair, and it was at a track. I can't remember. I don't. You may have been there. I don't know, but
I don't remember.
the we got halfway. I know Chase. It was in the middle of a Chase McCoy match, and the electricity just shuts off.
Hmm.
And we're just kind of sitting there like, oh crap, what do we do? It's like completely dark. And kind of find out they had over the electric box was almost on fire, pretty much.
Hey.
They could not go near it. It was that hot. And thankfully they finally got us back on, but like the match continued in the dark.
Well.
And it was like, okay, cool. It was like we heard the 1, 2, 3, and we were like, well, we don't know who won and we can't announce who won, but there you go.
Right.
But Poker Face, he out of the blue one day messaged me. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing in professional wrestling right now?" I said, "Just kind of traveling around, still doing audio for Coco." He goes, "You think you can come to Millington, Tennessee this year?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "What do you need me to do?" He goes, "Well, I've been doing this annual event, Millington Mayhem. Just want to know if you can do audio for me." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, I appreciate it." He said, "It takes off my plate."
Right.
Which that's how I got into doing audio anyway. Which I've always wanted to be a professional wrestler, but about 14, 15, I had a back injury that it wouldn't allow me to do it. But that's pretty much how I got into professional wrestling. Was it was taking stuff off of the owner's plate, the booker's plate, and which I was happy to do it.
Right.
And I'm
But
still doing it today.
doing stuff like that helps you out.
Yeah.
All the ins and outs of the booking and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm grateful that even after I started working for Greg Anthony, he still continued to let me do the mayhem stuff. Because I was already, I think I did my first 2 mayhems, and then I started working for Greg Anthony. And I told Greg right off the bat, I was like, "Listen, I can do audio, I'll announce for you, stuff like that. But I said, there's once a year that I can't be here on Saturdays."
Right.
And that was, and he was thankful. I'm thankful enough that he still lets me do that to this day. Now I'm on my 7th, 8th, 9th. I can't remember which one. I think I started with Mayhem 3 or 4.
Right.
So
This would be my 3rd mayhem with them.
yeah, yep. It's a great event. I kind of called him out on it too, though. About he got me a little bit. I was like, "Poker," I said, "You know perfect daggone how you are with this." He goes, "What? What?" I said, "You know you're picky with it."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "You picky with who you pick," and really, honestly, that's how most people need to be nowadays.
Oh yeah.
You got to be picky with who you bring in, because if you bring in the wrong person, it kind of kills the vibe and kills the whole show itself.
Yeah, Poker's real picky about who's on his shows. He don't just book all the guys from every other show around here. That's one thing I applaud him on. He ain't
Yeah,
gonna bring in the same 5 or 6 guys that's on every show that's going on in West Tennessee.
yeah. He's not gonna just he's not looking for just bodies like most companies do. Like just somebody that knows how to wrestle. He's looking for somebody that's gonna make that he can put on his flyers and know that that's gonna draw for him. And that's the way professional wrestling should be.
Right. That's like I've known Poker for my whole life pretty much, and
Mhm.
this took till 3 years ago for him to actually book me.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it kind of blew me back because, like I said, I started with either Mayhem 3 or 4. I think it was 4, but I had already heard about Millington Mayhem before, you know, and they're like, a lot of people's like, man, I really wish I could get booked on Millington Mayhem, but Poker Face is so daggum like picky on who he picks. And I was like, so it surprised the heck out of me whenever he messaged me. It was like, hey, can you come in and do audio for me? It'll help me out a lot. And whenever I said yeah, it was like, damn, it was like, I'm glad because I respect him, and I'm glad he respected me enough or knew my knowledge of that part of it enough to bring me in to let me do that. And I missed one mayhem, and because I had just gotten a new job. But other than that, I've been consistent,
Mm.
every year with him.
Yeah, I've told him I said I could be there every year as long as you run it.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard it since my first mayhem that I went to. Oh, I'm not doing it next year. I don't think it's worth it. And here we are, number 11.
Yeah, I think he loves it too much
Oh yeah, yeah.
not run one.
Not saying this is a bad thing either, but I think he's got some people in his ears,
Yeah,
all around him. Which I'm happy that he does it. I kind of know the back end of it, stuff like that too, because I talk to him as much as I can.
right.
Um, I always, anytime that he's on Facebook Live, I always tune into his Facebook Live stuff. I just kind of see what he's got to say, and yeah, I'm kind of happy to see that he's doing 11 this year. And of course, I'm waiting to hear that as soon as I get there. Oh, this is my last event. I'm not
Right.
do it. We'll get to Millington Mayhem 20 or maybe even 30, and this is it. This is it for me. I can't do it no more. Stuff like that. But well, I guess I've kind of run out of topics to talk with you right now. Like I said, we're always, I'm always looking, I'm always telling guys, we're going to do a part 2. So, I may reach out in the future and we can do a part 2.
That'll work.
But before we wind this down, go ahead and tell the good people listening at home, what's the future looking like for Cordale Roberts?
The future for Cordell Roberts. You never know. Hopefully, be in the WWE, NWA, TNA, somewhere. But
Yeah,
you never know.
it's always the dream, always the hope.
Yep.
Which I'm pretty certain, with your, you like we were talking about your brother got WWE ID, you know, who'd say you could be the next.
Never say never.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what you always got to say in professional wrestling. But all right then, Cordell. Well, I appreciate you, brother, for coming on. I know it was kind of a short episode. I'm sorry I ran out of topics on you,
You're fine.
but work and stuff like that kind of got me down a little bit. But like I said, yeah, I'll definitely be reaching back out to you for part 2 in the future. I kind of try to keep, if I have repeat episodes or repeat guests, I try to keep them kind of, further down on the line.
Maybe next time you can have your co-host and he can have some topics.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get on him. He's the one that said that he's the one. He's like, hey, mention the Doom Squad. I'm like, why don't you come on and be a co-host and mention it? It's like you were a part of it. It's like
Right.
stuff like that. I gotta get on him about it. But he's in Dyersburg, so you know I'm in the Dyersburg area. I'm out at the Unionville area.
I got you.
But well, brother, I really appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you doing the episode. I gotta get ready for. I got another episode. I have right, at 2 p.m. today. Johnny Morton.
Mm-hmm.
Always loved Johnny Morton. Always respected Johnny Morton since I met him. So I'm
Yeah,
kind of happy.
see Johnny. We always sit down and talk for a few minutes. I seen him last night, and he was always great to catch up with him.
Oh yeah. I saw him in Jonesboro, Arkansas last year. Whenever I went to go to Jason Jones's show for the Legends of Memphis Wrestling thing, and that's where I got to meet David Schultz, and I got some stuff from him, and I got Jerry Lawler to sign some stuff, and I actually before we go, the story I'll still hold to this day is I walked over because Alvin Minnick, he had a table there because he's doing his Comic-Con stuff, meet and greet stuff. And so I sat at the table with him most of the meet and greet stuff. And of course they had a little bit of time to kind of clean up a little bit, and
Right.
before the early bird, I had paid for the VIP ticket. So I was like, and I like to tell people this also is like, you can be a professional wrestler. Don't think that it makes you any less if you go and buy a ticket to a show.
Mm-hmm.
I try to tell people that, it's, don't do it constantly, but, like for that, been in business 10 years and I paid for the VIP access. And that's because I wanted to meet, who I wanted to meet.
Right.
It's like, it kills me though, because I can't sit in the audience and watch a wrestling match like a wrestling match. I have to study it. And I talked to Alan Still about that. I actually brought it up with Alan. I had actually sat there and watched and studied his match, and there were some moments in there that I kind of mentioned with him, brought up, and he kind of agreed with everything I was saying. It's like, yeah, he's like, that's exactly what happened.
It's definitely hard to go to a show and be a fan after you've been in business, especially if you're a worker who you go. Even if I go to a WWE show, I got the urge to want to be in that ring.
Yeah.
The nature of the business.
Yeah. But Alvin was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, because you got a little time before you got to be back here for the early bird access." I said, "Nothing." I was like, "Probably just gonna go get me some food." He goes, "Well, why don't you come with us?" I go, "Us?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, Tommy knows a place here in Jonesboro, that that they'd like to go to, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll follow y'all, whatever. So I got hopped in my car, followed them, stuff like that. What I didn't realize was he was talking about Tommy Rich,
right,
and Doug Gilbert. So we ended up at Buffalo Wild Wings of all freaking places. And I walk in, there's Tommy Rich, Doug Gilbert, and I got to sit and eat lunch with them. And I was like, wow, this is kind of thing. Doug Gilbert did. I didn't bring this up to Alvin, but he did. So they were sitting, and like Doug, I don't know if it was an accident or if he was trying to rib Alvin, but he accidentally knocked over his drink.
right.
And all of a sudden, I hear Alvin screaming and like freaking hopping out of the bar stool and all that kind of stuff. I was like, what the heck's going on? Is like, Doug is just sitting there dying laughing. So I don't know if that was a rib or what, but it probably was for Doug.
Knowing Doug, it probably was.
Yeah, that's two guys that I kind of want to get on here too, because they got their own podcast actually.
Do they?
I thought so, or at least I think so. But,
they might.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't. I barely. I try to keep up with wrestling, other wrestling stuff nowadays, but like I said, between work and Pro Wrestling Mid-South business and stuff like that, I just don't have the time.
Right.
But Well, bud, I guess we're gonna wind this down. Like I said, I'll definitely be reaching back out to you for a part two, maybe.
Oh yeah.
But all right then, bud. Well, you have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
All right, bud. All righty then, ladies and gentlemen. That was episode 9 of the Mid South Wrestling Center podcast. Like I said, I apologize. I know we've been kind of down and out for a couple weeks. Work schedules, sickness, stuff like that been going on in this area. Uh, that was that's one of 2 episodes for today, though. Don't forget to check out episode number 10, which is Johnny Moore with Johnny Morton. We're going to go over a lot of things with him. Got some great topics we're going to go over. Also, don't forget, whether you're listening live or listening on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio, check us out every single week. Hope to see everybody at 2 p.m. today.